the
But
wrong thing.
oh boy, wow, looks like we're underway. Unfortunately, we got a little bit of a problem with the screen transition here, so we'll have to make do with some tiny screens for now.
Hey, we found it.
Nice.
And it
There we
must have
go.
locked away with that heart container there in the first chest.
Yeah, we need to open that first chest too, or really have things start popping off. Oh, never mind. Oh, here we go.
I think we had to switch divisions. Making an early map check, I see a crystal in Eastern and in the desert, and a pendant up in the Tower of Hera. We're heading into the escape sequence now.
Ooh, hammer start. Okay.
I mean, what an excellent start that is for these runners. It's one major item we're not going to be looking for, and there's an instant bomb drop out of the first guard we take down. Well, there's how about we take all of the suspense out of this escape sequence, and we're going to get a sword right away. Just okay. Kindest seed ever confirmed.
Yeah. So I guess we're gonna find like boots and mirror in the next couple of chests and make this the fastest escape you've ever seen.
Wouldn't that be something indeed? All right, Gem is off a little bit ahead of etium, but that might be in the timers. We will see. They're maybe a couple seconds ahead. Just a little bit of a difficulty with one of the green guards on etium's screen. Gonna make our way across and see what we've got here in the first of the chest. And that's a power glove? That's 2/3 of Dark World access given to us immediately in the escape.
Wow. This is really a great start.
I mean, realistically, you cannot ask for a whole lot more.
Alrighty, so as our runners are taking their first steps here through the escape sequence, just a quick shout out to our tracker today, Tony, clicking those buttons behind the scenes. So make sure to show some love to our tracker.
Hopefully the buttons will be a little more cooperative from them today than they were in our race that we did together last night, but there's a lot to be seen.
Yeah, sometime that kind of acts up a little bit. So Hammer makes this guard go down in just 2 shots there. Pretty easy. Wow, what is this?
What even is this seed we have here?
Man, I don't think I've ever seen a loaded escape like this before. That's some pretty substantial items we picked up so far.
Alright, making our way further through the escape. Now this way, I mean, the escape where we're super strong. We've got a sword, we got a hammer, we just need a moon pearl, and we're heading into the into the dark world. And quite frankly, I kind of want to see that moon pearl pop up just to see how, just giving this runner so many options from the word go. Where do they even start?
Yeah, I mean, when a seed opens up that much, anything is kind of possible. So it could make for some really interesting route divergence. So we'll have to see if that Moon Pearl does show up. It would be pretty interesting if after we've received basically everything we need for Dark World, that Moon Pearl is just in the middle of nowhere.
Or perhaps still locked between that first visit with the Sorcerer. There's still a lot to be seen in this seed here. But I'd imagine we're going to be pretty close to sub 6 on both of these escape sequences, just given the mountain of items that we can fight things with. Mm-hmm. That key rat never stood a chance.
Nope.
And there's the map in the Dark Cross, so continuing on. Both runners did pick up that instant 4-pack of bombs, so no bit of drama about whether or not we're getting those 4 items in the back. Now the only question is, what will they be? He's already
Probably
found
some
the
more
map,
goodies,
so-
given how generous this seed has been so.
Absolutely, or perhaps it could be rude from here on out. We will see. Just a little bit of a teaser before it really, really gets it going. And explosions. That's the name of the game. Hey, do you have enough bombs to go through the rest of this? Hey, do you have enough bombs to go for the rest of this?
I mean, I guess all the junk had to be somewhere.
Well, perhaps this isn't the sewers, but an underground blueberry farm. All right, and at 5:48, Gem is out. ATM looks to be just a little bit over 6, and gets $50 for the troubles. Well done. And with that, we are out into the world. We will see where we head to next. We're gonna, if we decide to check a lumberjack out the gate, or if we'll leave that check for later.
Gem doing the map check that we saw etium do earlier.
And that is a blue crystal in the Tower of Hera, so not the green that we'll be looking for a free item, but it does help put the potential pedestal puzzle into your mind. Alright, and we'll see what is growing in its natural habitat after we check out the tier 1 green pool of green rupees. And there's some money growing in this natural habitat, and that's enough for the bottle vendor, so no worrying about that. For those asking, so what's that crazy thing in Gem's screen? That's the logo for Team 4K 4th and 4Head. And what a logo it is. The Titans Vets have an excellent logo, but etium not using it on their stream. Alright, so with that, we are out in towards the Kakariko village. Lots of free items here. We don't have to worry about bombs, don't have to worry about money, just casually coasting through and picking up the plethora of items, locations here. We'll see if there's anything else good for this pretty kind starting seed.
I'm a little surprised that neither runner decided to go for South Shore. I think that's kind of the hotness, but you know, Kakariko is pretty full of locations, so it does make sense to just go for dense.
And thus far, we've got some love, a little love, big love, some sticks. And into the final chest here for Gem, we have ourselves more love. Perhaps the thieves were just stealing our love this whole time. Moving on out, likely to drop into that Kakariko well next. Starting us off with another horde of rupees. 20 bucks. More blueberries. More sticks. And more money.
Huh. So far, Kakariko is not paying out.
Oh, I beg to differ. It's a Cashariko, if nothing else. I'm gonna have to see what the chickens are guarding this time. No access to the kid that got sick off Death Mountain. And 20 bucks. And for those asking, what are we playing today? We are just playing a standard defeat Ganon Seed. And inside the tavern, 20 bucks. So we've got Zora money, and Zora is in logic with the 2 gloves we have here. So Zulik's an early visit to the king of all scams. Alright, we'll see what is hanging up on the library ledge for Gem. And more blueberries. All the blueberries, all the 20s, all the time. That's Kakariko Village. And meanwhile, Gem is going to elect to just straight dive the racing game.
Yeah, I mean, given that Kakariko was mostly going for this blind, you have to assume that there's got to be something out there in the world that's going to help you out here. So it might be here on the race.
And whatever it was, we can't. Oh, now we can see it. It's $50. So that gives him the rest of his Zora money, and he's safe and quite likely to go start that race down the South Shore. Looks like Etium will also make this dive, having a little bit more money than Gem does.
So after that dead Kakariko sweep, I'm pretty much going to call it that we're going to see a bottle or the flute down here in the South Shore, and then they'll have to go back to Kakariko for that one more check or for activation of the flute. Always seems to go that way. Or just more big 20s. That's cool too.
Hey, baby, they got your money. Don't you worry. This seat is stacked with cash. Etium, however, are going to diverge a bit, and they're going for Sahasrara first. Alright, so here we go. 11 minutes in, we finally get our first bit of divergence, though it's both checks revealed to both runners, and Gem releases the water from the dam and says, I don't need another heart container at this point. Sahasrara's closet has more money, and Sahasrara, I have some questions for you. I have some questions. Meanwhile, we'll see what is hanging out with the mini Moldorm. $20. The Moon Pearl for Gem. The Flute! $20. And a single rupee. Mini Moldorm Cave. Dear, oh my. Well, Etium is going to take those drugs he stole from the old man, take him back to the witch's pharmacy, and see what he gets in exchange.
So it does seem like that is going to open up a great deal more of the world. I think Etium's probably going to have to head down to South Shore after this. I can't see him going anywhere else. I don't think he'd go do an Eastern Palace dip without the bow this early.
Alright, and just some sticks is the price of bombs, and Etium says, I'm going to keep that mushroom for some fake flipper shenanigans. Meanwhile, Gem is serenading that swag duck. Alright, and with that, Gem can fly around the world. Etium now making their way down the South Shore. We'll pick up the bevy of items that is hanging out in the mini Moldorm Cave eventually. I mean, we've got Dark World access, we've got the flute, and with that, Gem's heading to fly over to the Eastern Palace area. Gonna check out the hoard of rupees in the back of Sahasrara's closet, and then make the decision whether or not they want to dip Eastern quite yet. I'd imagine not, considering they have Dark World access at this point, but we will see.
Yeah, I do notice this about Gem's routing. Only is careful to not move on too quickly and abandon too many easy checks. Like doing these 3 chests here in the back of Saha's hut. It's pretty easy to take care of. You got the flute. Probably just flute back to Village of Outcasts, and then enter the Dark World at that point.
I imagine he does have that mushroom, but I imagine they'll probably set up for a save scum. But maybe not.
I do notice that I see fewer people doing fake powder these days. It used to be like everyone was save scumming that mushroom, but it happens a little less often.
And with that, Gem's committed to those 10 sticks. We'll see if fake powder comes into play at some point. But Etium now going to get their news that Dark World access and more overworld travel is available to them now, as Gem going to use their flute to get them down to the Mire area. as we find out that it is the green pendant as well as the red pendant in Ice Palace, 5-6 crystals being on Palace of Darkness and Skull Woods. And we're going to get our first dip here after we dodge this murder dactyl here. We see the Quake Medallion is what opens up that green pendant Misery Mire. Alright, and in that we have 50 bucks and 3 bombs. And with that, Etium's done there while Gem's done there while Etium is gonna serenade their swag duck. Give us a view of the backside of that fox sprite. Gem now heading down into the Dark World via the Link's House portal. I think we're gonna get a visit to the Cape, formerly known as Hype.
Yeah, it retains the name, yet has not been Hype for very long.
Alright, so what kind of cave will we have today after getting a fairly hype escape sequence and mini Moldorm? Starting off with a fire rod's a good way to do so. And we've got a piece of heart, 20 bucks, 3 bombs, and a heart container. Gotta like that fire rod to open it up, though. That gives us an access to quite a bit more of this world.
Yeah, definitely. I could see Gem making a play for Skullwoods, seeing as it is one of the 5-6. And even though we're a little, not super stacked health-wise, I think that Gem could probably handle that fight without too much trouble.
Just on Fighter Sword, but does have the hammer, so it's one hammer plus fire rod, a good, decent way to take care of them off if you're confident in your ability. Meanwhile, which I'd imagine Gem and Etium both are at this point. As we get Stumpy with more sticks. And a review of the map check on Etium's side. Now I'm going to head over and visit Alec Baldwin. Between 1 and 30 days, we'll give them a prize. I do enjoy the minigame music. I think it's a bit more fun when the Arrow game, because I don't think anyone is as excited for Arrow for anything as that guy is for Arrow's hitting.
Yeah, he really is a big fanatic of the Arrow lifestyle.
He brings the hype, as I hope to do as a commentator. Meanwhile, Gem gonna make their way up into the village of outcasts. We'll see if they decide to pick up Jeremiah on the way, but I think they'll save that for now so they don't have to save him quite yet. A good bevy of checks to be made on the way up. Looks like we're gonna start with some hammer pegs, though. Unfortunately, no boots to make this a little bit of Zelda ASMR, but still an easy check nonetheless. All right, and we see some water toes in the hammer pegs there. Now we've got access to all of the Zora area, and with that fire rod and hammer, who wants to do a very early Ice Palace?
Yo, Pendant Ice Palace could be holding something, but ooh, that's a near impossible call to make at this early in the race, as hype as it could possibly be.
Oh yes, that pendant being an Ice Palace feels kind of bad, and you just were in 2 checks were handed the keys and like, please don't. Alright, so looking at, while I see Chad is hypothesizing on the possibilities of the pedestal, I'll just take a look at what it could be with our current crystal layout. And nothing's super jumping out at my eyes right now. The easiest thing I can see is the pendant to open turtle, the medallion for Turtle Rock. And we get an instant big key in Thieves Town. Etium on the right side is going to pick up their water toes and likely be making some of the same moves that Gem is right now. With this being a crystal, I see Gem will just go ahead and power straight through this.
Yeah, most definitely. Both runners have routed this pretty well here to knock out Thieves Town and then likely up to Skullwoods after this. It's making a lot of sense so far.
And there's the access to the small key, but we have the hammer, so no worrying about getting into that the big chest room. But looking back at the pedestal point a moment, the one item that truly jumps out to me now that I do more thinking is the bow, as a very much potential.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility.
That would definitely bring the hype after a pretty giving opening, but still a lot of the seed to see before you even start thinking about that pedestal.
Yeah, it definitely wouldn't be on our runners' minds at this point to be thinking about possibly jumping into pendant dungeons to finish them for a potential pedestal situation. There's still, a lot on the table for our runners to look at beforehand.
I mean, taking a look at what we've been given access to at this point, we can complete this town dungeon we're in, Thieves Town. We can complete Skull Woods. We now have access to get to the front side of Swamp. Speaking of which, find out the left side of Swamp is trash. We can kill the Land Mollusk in Desert Palace. Actually, no, we can't. We need a mirror for that. I apologize. But still a lot to be seen here. It looks like, I'm gonna keep on going back further through here. I have to watch out for those little cricket guys, because they do more damage than you think they would.
Yeah, they can definitely body you pretty quick.
It's interesting how some of the least threatening looking of enemies can be some of the most threatening enemies on the map. A good reference that would be the crabs on the South Shore. And there are a lot of checks available in the Palace of Darkness and Eastern Palace, so many things that our runners can dip at this point. Just the options are veritably limitless. And also, we haven't been up on the mountain. There's only 2 items available for us right now, unless we find a hookshot somewhere along the line, or the mirror.
Yeah, I feel like the next thing we will find might be one of those 2 items. Just feels like there's a lot of value up there that we just can't quite access yet, and that would be another piece of the puzzle that would help us get to those items up on Death.
And there we've got the compass. So item on blind and an item in the big chest. What is hiding out in that Titan's Myths vanilla location? And that's the magic cape. That gives us access to a couple things. That gives us access to Bumper Ledge. Does give us access to Spike Cave, and does open up the way to a Sorcerer, if there would be something in Lumberjack, which neither runners has checked at this point. Though without the boots, it's not really on their mind. And we get to have more puns from Blind. Pretty good start to this script, and keeping it relatively on script on Gem's side. It takes a bit of a hit, down to a heart and a half. Pulls out their cape just to be sure, because if they get hit by Blind or one of the heads, that's game over. Good use.
It is a little uncharacteristic of Gem there, but manages to hang.
Well, since I was just give it to him, it was well on their mind.
Mm-hmm.
Just one glitch and mistake. If you take a hit from one of those heads, that's back to the beginning for you, and you do not want that. I will head into the C-shaped house. We'll see what we've got in here, and then the decision lies. I imagine they're going to continue north. Whether it's just a matter of before or after do they check the bumper ledge that they've just been given access to. And it looks like they're veering to the right, so they're going to check that bumper ledge first. Well, etium is continuing to clear through Thieves Town. And up on the bumper, we have just the blue boomerang, so he throws his sign in disgust and continues on. I'm amused by the cool, even 1,000 rupee count that Gem has.
Yeah, right.
Alright, and with that, Gem is heading into Skull Woods. Etium about to handle their blind fight. We'll see how they keep this on script. So far, so good. And starting us off with a small key on the left side of your screen. Takes a hug from blind. Still sitting pretty good on health, though. Really good juking and jiving. Took a fireball and a hit there, but down goes blind, keeping it relatively on script and clean. As we get the Ether Medallion out of Skull Woods.
Yes, that is the two items in Skull Woods have shown up in basically the first two chests that Gem took a look at there. So might just head right to the back and take care of the moth.
And there's no reason to head under that bridge now. Oh well. No, never mind. Two items gone, so just all that's left here is a moth. No need to worry about Gibdo puzzles. We just need to get to the back. Go ahead and snipe that key, so we're not worrying about about those shenanigans, and we're moving on.
So it looks like etium is going to run the dungeon back to front, which unfortunately is going to mean that he's going to check a couple more chests potentially that Gem has already taken care of, and Gem will be able to skip some of the dungeon. etium might end up full clearing as a result of it.
I mean, it's not a necessarily wrong play, just wrong in this particular instance.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with the employing here, like going right for the back. I usually do that myself, so definitely there's different ways to do the dungeon.
There's no absolute right or wrong way to run a seed where just so much of the world is open to us at this point. One thing I will take a note is etium, or Gem has just about only one fire rod shot to work with here, so it looks like they're opting for fighter sword or hammer. Etium will come into this up with quite a bit of magic, but Gem didn't care. They just demolished that moth. Got their compass and their crystal. They're out.
Yeah, really solid fight from
Alright, so with that, Gem's going to save and quit out and see where they're going to head to next. Alright, it looks like Gem is going to head on over towards the Eastern Palacious area, but I think first they're going to go for a little bit of a swim.
Yeah, I think water checks makes a good play right now.
And hello,
ooh,
that's a book. Who left that book on the Hylian Island?
That's interesting that we probably won't don't need the book unless the tablets come into play. Because if we get the mirror, which we need for that location, then we've already got our access into the desert. So, weird little spot for that book to be hanging out.
It does prove some interesting possibilities, but I'll have to be seen before we really figure that out. And the first thing that needs to come up is that mirror. So tablets could end up being the key if you want to see use of that literacy. Well, Jem, I'm finally going to make this long walk to a cold cave. And see what's hanging out beneath the ice rod. Which you will have to find somewhere in this world.
Ah, the ice rod, my favorite item.
I think it's everyone's favorite item at this point. It should be hanging on a laser bridge with a bow, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or perhaps it's in its named palace.
Yeah.
You have access to it. And oh boy. But
So we might see Jem do waterfall checks, but we'll see how far he decides to swim around. Might come back for some Ice Palace action. Still haven't seen Eastern or Pod yet, but without the bow, I mean, it might have a play. You don't want to have to double dip unnecessarily.
However, the seed may very well require you, and in that waterfall fairy we find a magical boomerang and silver arrows. As etium looks to be taking a death warp. And see what's hanging out on the Zora ledge. Just some rupees, move along. I'm taking a little bit of a swim, because if you can keep the swim speed up, that is a little bit faster than the long walk. Alright, and here we are. What is the king of all scams holding on to today? And today we have to purchase some very finely crafted arrows.
Yikes.
High quality, guaranteed to be silver now, because he did find the silvers in the waterfall fairy.
Well, I guess there is that. That could explain their high price.
And with that, Gem's taking a ride on the duck. But where are they heading to? They're heading back to 8. Could this be?
This, I think we're seeing some Ice Palace action here. This is an interesting dip here.
Or it looks like at least he's going to pick up, going to use his money to pick up some more bomb capacity. And playing the song of his people. And there we have it, a 33-minute a red pendant Ice Palace dip by Gem. This is an interesting one. We'll see if it pays off. I mean, there is a lot of information here to find out there's a glove in the castle. Well, we literally had to pick that up. Thanks. Or we wouldn't even be here.
So this is a place where we could see a little bit of divergence. I'm not sure if etium is going to feel as strong about going for the Ice Palace play. If he decides to check out Eastern Palace and Pod, might find something else that might give him a bit of an edge, because he's got a little bit of time to make up. So if he keeps following Gem, he's going to be in trouble.
I marvel at that bomb strategy against those pen gators. That was beautiful.
I marvel at most things that Gem does, because Gem is pretty top tier.
Get those pen gators out of the way, moves on to the next room. Takes a bit of a hug, and pen gator hugs aren't the most friendly, as just like most things in the in this dungeon, there's a reason that the blue male is in here. Meanwhile, Etium is going to bring Jeremiah home and see what kind of dwarven craftsman we have today on the left side of or the right side of your screen. Another hint tile tells us that some arrows are on Spectacle Rock. Oh joy! As we find out, we have some dwarven pyrotechnicians. Alright, so with that, etium is going to check the desert ledge and going to make their way into the mire area. We don't have access to get into Misery Mire, and we don't, and even if we did, even if we could get in the door, we can't go really anywhere.
So after these two checks here, then etium is going to be pretty much on par with Gem check-wise, so I might do the water locations as well, given that we got the flippers and haven't done anything with those yet. Or at least he hasn't done anything with those.
More super clean bomb execution on those pen gators by Gem. Alright, etium, having made that last check, question is, where do they go next? They're starting at Link's house, and they've got a flute. A unique item requires the hammer found on Gem. Have we seen that requirement yet?
That could be Spike Cave. Hammer pegs, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Chat is saying hammer
Yes,
pegs, which is likely the location, yes, for the flip.
Well thought out, chat, as Gem decides to be one of those spike walkers. Well, Etienne's seeing that there's someone left a book on the island. Gonna go visit the hobo, unlikely to make his way up to Zora. The question is, what does Etienne do afterward? Will he make the same Ice Palace gamble? As Gem really shows that Stalfos 9 piece of his mind, and that's 20 bucks. So far, nothing in this Ice Palace dip. There's a burrito, so we gotta keep going. Here's a little bit of love. Get out of here, kid. And just a really master class on execution and routing here in Ice Palace, making use of both of those bomb jumps on the first hit, and making use of that bomb capacity upgrade he purchased to give him enough bombs to do some of these strats on the pen gators and the bomb jumps he's going to execute. This will be our next check, a small key. Just pulling off bomb jumps like they're the easiest thing ever. Execution really being top notch on Gem's side as Etienne makes their long walk through the water to find out that King Zora's just got 10 arrows. Here we are in Iced Tea, and oh my god!
Wow, that's brutal. What an awful location.
Galaxy Brain Gem strikes again, and that's the bow in Red Pendant Ice Palace. What even?
That's just so gross. I don't like that.
That is just mean. Because that really, I mean, this Etienne is really feeling a bad dive. This play could just seal this race.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a hard call to make. It's such a hard call to make to go in there. So I'll have to see if ATM does eventually get there. He's gonna have to hustle, I think.
I mean, but there is just so many other locations that things could be at this point. I mean, there's so much of Eastern that's open, so much of Pod that's open. There's so many other checks that seem a bit more attractive, but we're still looking for that bow, and Gem found it in Ice Palace, and now he's down to hammer strats against these Cold Stare Puffs, and so far keeps him in the corner quite well. Takes a hit from a snowball there, and that's a hug. Gem is going to have to go back to the start. Will they decide to go back to Cold Stare? The answer to that is no. They've got a bow, and that's all they really want.
Yeah, that's probably not going to be a problem for Gem. Just thought, seeing as they've already spent the time in the dungeon, let's Cold Stare, it was going to be a tough fight no matter what. So, yeah, definitely the right call to just bail.
I saw 2 items. Did we see 3?
Yeah, I mean, he could have been going for the item, yeah. If that is the case, then, well, he's abandoned something.
That's the question that's burning in my mind now. Was there 2 items or was there 3? I know there was a red rupee and the bow. If the Cultster's holding onto an item and that's like the ice rod, I could give etium another chance back in here. Meanwhile, Gem, with their bow in hand, is going to go ahead and gun straight through this Eastern Palace. At this point, looking at go mode items, the hookshot, the ice rod, and the Cane of Samaria, and the mirror. 4 big items we're still looking for, but the biggest find so far was that bow by Gem.
Yeah, so ATM picked up a little hint there in Spectacle Rock that Boss is fire locked in Tower of Hera. So if Bombos is required for Turtle Rock, then we'll have to take a dip into the basement of Hera at some point.
So that does, however, cross off one of the item locations. Meanwhile, etium is also going to see another another item location that is locked behind the hammer here. We'll see what is hanging out here, if that hint applies twice or just once. I got popping on that magic cape down to a single heart, pull on through, and we find out there's just 50 bucks after all of that trouble. Alright, Gem, I'm going to go ahead and continue on through Eastern Palace while Etium is going to visit the old man and grab their flute and go somewhere around the world. The question is, where? And they're going to flute to 6. Gonna go see our first check of Agina.
Yeah, I can understand kind of what ATM's thinking here. You know, just trying to do anything possible before dipping into Eastern Pod or Ice Palace. Just hoping to find one more piece of progression before committing to the dungeon.
And speaking of Pod, a unique item has been revealed to us there by the hint system. Though, of course, the Pod and Eastern plays are technically out of logic still unless that lamp turns up, but that may have well been the hint for it, for all we know. Those asking the story of this race right now was Gem making the dive into Red Pendant, Ice Palace, and coming out with the bow. I mean, we do have both runners did have full access to Ice Palace, but it doesn't really jump out great of a play. Etium going to head on over toward the village as we get our vanilla big key in Eastern. So Eastern is 100% darkness locked, and we get our first visit of the sick kid just for 50 bucks. Etium having found a bottle in Agina's cave. There's another item, a piece of heart, which fills a container for Gem. They're going to head into the back side. And they're going to gun straight through this. Meanwhile, Gem picking up a green potion. I'm going to take the refill. And grabbing a blue.
So, grabbing a potion, usually a sign that the Ice Palace play is incoming. So, hopefully ATM is heading in that direction.
And could it be that both of our runners are going to grab this, see, like, well, this is the dungeon I can complete, so I'm going here. So it looks like Etium is going to be rewarded with the bow, but is just about a full dungeon clear behind Gem as far as execution goes. If they continue along the same route, this kind of keeps the edge in Gem's side. However, the big difference maker could be if there is a unitem or an item hanging out on Cold Stare, and Etium manages to finish the fight. Notice that Etium does have 2 more hearts than Gem does, as well as the blue potion for extra safety.
Yeah, that would definitely swing things back in ATM's favor. You know, he could use a little bit of good fortune, I think, at this point. So hopefully that does come to pass, just to make the race a little bit more interesting, because it is seeming like it's fairly linear at this point. It seems like the progression is just going to lead our runners to specific dungeons, and everything's going to work out just fine. So if there is something on Cold Stare that gives ATM a chance to really get back into this one, which would be.
These pen gators not really cooperating, and I promise I promise there was a boss fight on the left side of your screen, folks, which is rather quick. see what happens when we get through this. Meanwhile, Gem not finding anything of anything in Eastern Palace. We'll see what is hanging out in Pod. We know there is a unique item somewhere, but the single arrow bug net, single arrow bug net, powder, shovel, a lot of stuff that isn't good is still hanging out up for grabs. Actually, I'm having a little bit better of a time with the Armos Knights there. And I'm going to take our visit to the first box here and find out that we were not bow-locked in Pod after all. No, we do need it to get to the boss. And as we do a little bit of clearing, if you have not already given these runners a follow, I definitely suggest you do so. They're putting on an excellent show for all of us today, and the least thing you can do is show them a little bit of support. Meanwhile, Gem is going to take their key and walk toward the back first. Go ahead and bomb across to the Bowlock side and find I believe that hint we found a little bit was the boots hint, because we're going fast.
Ha. That's interesting that this was a check that was open fairly early to our runners. As you see, Gem just gave the chest a little bit of a pull there, thinking I could have had these like ages ago.
When was a better time than this to find out that some bombs require the green pendant, so clearing Misery Mire, unless there's an item hiding out somewhere inside, prize is not worth your time.
Yeah, probably not.
And at this point, can you think of anything that could keep the pedestal alive at this point?
At this point, I think it would have to be a medallion issue. We know the Bombos is in bottom of Hera, so I guess Quake, if Quake is required for TR.
The mirror or even the hook shot.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because we do have the boots now. There's still a lot keeping Pet in play, but as far as the green pendant goes, not required. And just more little bits of execution being showed off by Gem there. That's kind of a cool strategy for clearing through that room from that way.
What I really liked that I saw from Gem there was doing a bow dash into the Mimic room. You're preloaded with... Oh, there's our Quake medallion. Okay, so never mind. Not going to be a problem with medallion. A bow dashed into the Mimic room, so had an arrow preloaded and was able to shoot the red Mimic right away. It was awesome. Just
an absolute clinic of execution being shown off on the left side of your screen by Gem as we find even more small keys, because this is the Palace of Keys. I mean, darkness. And heading on over to the Dark Maze, Gem will be fumbling this way through the dark. We have not seen the lamp yet, so these checks technically out of logic, but Gem gives no cares.
Yay! So ATM picks up the bow there.
Alright, now we'll see if etium can clear through the Cold Stare fight, and if it is indeed holding an item of progression. If that's the case, that just swung that could swing this race drastically in their favor. Alright, I saw a compass and map. Another executed bomb jump. Drop into the big chest. Another small key. I think Cold Stare's holding an item, having rewatched the fight on etium. And Gem taking a death in a dark maze. So at this point, looks like Gem is gonna head on back to the king of all Helmosaurs. Well, Etium is gonna drop in for their date with Cold Stare and see if it goes a little bit better than Gem's did. Gem coming in, actually, I think with a little less full hearts coming into the fight, but Etium does have the edge of the blue potion they picked up from the witch. Good use of game knowledge there as Gem pulls a refill from down below. And there's the big key. Good use of the fighter sword to kind of extend the hitbox of the hammers. So far, hasn't taken a hit yet from the Cold Stares, but just took one from the snowball. Really well. Alright, we're down one Cold Stare puff on Etium's side.
Yeah, looking good.
Just the hammer swing there, but landing two more. Taking a hug, though. He really should grab his potion now, because another hug puts him in the graveyard, but he does so and pulls out. Now armed with fire rod shots, this will go a little bit smoother, and down goes Cold Stare. Now the moment of truth for Etium. What is the Cold Stares guarding today? Just 20 bucks. So unless the pedestal's holding on to something, the Cold Stare death isn't going to hurt Gem all that much. But an excellent fight on Etium, being on a kind of low defense and low offense, being only on Fighter Sword, just about 10 minutes to an hour in.
Yeah, it's a pretty stressful fight for sure with that kind of setup there. So, yeah, I mean, as we kind of discussed in chat in here, Pedestal is not dead yet. So there are a couple things that can still be on there. So if the penance do come into play, then great. But yeah, I think I don't know. What are we looking for?
And at this point, we're technically looking for the lamp. We need to find a hook shot, an ice rod. Potentially Bombos if we need that to open up Turtle Rock, the Mirror, and the Cane of Samaria.
Oh,
at this point.
Okay, so it's Misery Mire. That's where we want to go. We just haven't seen anything in Eastern or Pod here, and we got that Quake medallion. So yeah, I'm thinking it's Mire is going to be our next piece of.
I mean, we did just gain boots, so that gives us access to 2 boots lock locations outside the sanctuary, which could definitely be holding progression.
Yeah, definitely.
Without the mirror we can't get into the desert quite yet, as the mirror is locking the book via Lake Hylia Island. At this point, we're almost looking towards an Oops All Dungeon scene.
That has been the trend lately with a lot of these defeat Ganon goals, is you're ending up dipping into a lot of your pendant dungeons.
And if Bombos is for Turtle Rock, that would guarantee that we need to go to the Hera, because the hints tell us the Bombos is down at the bottom. Alright, down goes the King of all Helmosaurs just for 20 bucks for Gem, and with that, that's 4 crystals for them. However, at this point, all we gained out of Pod was the crystal and the ability to open up 2 boots lock locations. And with those boots also giving us access to that pendant Misery Mire, which the door key was in here. But first, Gem has some unfinished business with the Dark Maze and the big chest. And there we find the map on Etium's side. We know there's not a whole lot here in Eastern Palace. As Etium gets their boot, what turns out to be their boots hint. Gem making sure to set up their hammering up. And does so for the ice rod.
Wow.
So, where's that lamp?
Yeah, I guess in one of the boots locations or Misery.
It looks like Gem's gonna knock out King's Tomb right away. So far, a lot of these plays just coming up Gem. I mean, though not to discount that this seed has come up fairly linear when you really look at it. Just you run out of locations, so you're forced to run here. Though the dip into pendants, the pendant ice dip, though both the runners chose to do it, I'm not sure that a lot of people doing this seed would have made that call so early.
Yeah, definitely.
Death Mountain, what I find interesting is that we're almost an hour in, and Death Mountain still pretty much inaccessible to our runners.
That is surprising. I don't think you see that too often, where mirror and hookshot both kind of dodge the runners.
It looks like Gem now with their boots is thinking, okay, now I go ones in logic. And that's a bottle of green potions. So I don't think we're gonna. Don't think we're killing Aga for that. Because we've already checked Sick Kid. Cold Stare was just 20 rupees, unfortunately. But the big story of this being that the bow was an iced tea, pendant iced tea. All right, with that, Gem is gonna head in and hammer this up. So perhaps Gem, maybe Swamp Dip.
I think we might be looking at Big Bomb, because the 5-6 crystals are now complete.
Oh yeah, that's something that eluded my mind for the moment, but yep. And interesting that the first race in a while I haven't seen a big red bomb hint, so we're gonna go ahead and knock that out. Speaking of swamp, I mean there is a couple checks available. We know the left side is dead.
Well, if we had the mirror, then we could get in there, but sadly we still don't have that.
Pieces of puzzles seem to elude me lately. But Gem showing off some of the techniques on this big red bomb. That didn't work.
Wow, that's surprising.
That was weird. But gets the news that there's $300 up on that ledge. Perhaps you should have grabbed it since he just dropped an amount of money to get that big red bomb. But he's gonna have to go back. I mean, that's probably the first real execution glitch we've seen aside from the Death Cold Stare at this point.
Yeah, a little uncharacteristic. Meanwhile, etium losing the handle on Kiki there, unfortunately.
Yeah, Kiki charges $10 to roll with him, and if you take a hit, Kiki dips. And makes you pay him $10 again. Alright, going in for a second setup on this red bomb duplication. Did get it this time. Interesting he said to go for it a second time after having lost time to failing the glitch the first time.
Yeah.
Gets the spin speeds and go in that door marginally closer, quicker, and we see 10 sticks and a piece of heart for all that work. Alright, with that, they're gonna grab their spin speed and head on over towards the catfish.
Yeah, no better time than right now to take care of that out-of-the-way check. Could be holding on to something pretty crucial, so we'll see.
At this point, we're still looking for a fair amount. We need to find a hook shot, technically a lamp, Kid Samaria, mirror, and another sword. Not to be discounted that Master Sword is required to take care of Ganon. Alright, then let's wake up the catfish and see what the prize is. And this long walk just for 3 more bombs. Oh boy. You know what that hit? Gem's gonna grab the 3 bombs from there and grab his flute. Or 3 hearts. And with that, Gem is heading back to, looks like they're going for that pendant mire dip.
Yeah, at this point, it seems like the right play. I don't think Gem's got too much else on the table. So if this is, in fact, the next step in the chain of progression here, then hopefully ATM doesn't waste too much time doing some of the other checks that we just saw Gem do, and maybe just goes right for the mire dive. Might help him get back in.
If Gem follows this fairly linear progression, they're not going to gain any time here on Gem, unfortunately. But not to discount their own execution, as they did pull off the cold stare kill that Gem could not, though. Some of the other rooms in Ice Palace, Gem just put an absolute clinic on for. Meanwhile, Gem just gonna
definitely not gonna. Sorry.
Go right ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say that you're totally right that that ATM's execution has been really solid. The thing is, when you're up against someone like Gem, it kind of gets overshadowed. You get kind of lost. But ATM is like holding his own here, which is admirable. And so hopefully with a couple lucky breaks, he might start to crack his way back into this one. But yeah, really good execution on his front as well.
Hello, Magic Mirror.
How about that?
With that, that's another large progression item being locked away in a pendant dungeon. That gives us access to Swamp Palace and also the entire Death Mountain. And here we are just over an hour in, and we just gained access to the mountain. And with that, Gems decided no more of this. I believe that was the second item, was it not? No, that was the key. So there is another item hiding out in Misery Mire, but we're going to go clear out a crystal dungeon first.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Actually.
That mirror does open up a large amount of checks. So the hook shot could be in any number of places at this point. But yeah, when you've got one item out of Misery Mire, there's only one more in there. It makes a lot of sense to bail.
Alright, there's a small key hanging out on the torch. As we get find out that everyone is looking for something, and in this case, he's looking for a hookshot and a cane. And there's the big key. So it looks like we're going to head to the right side, and then move our way back over to the left. And there's our lamp in the desert. So that is a required double dip of the Palace of Darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have to grab the boots to get the small key, to get the lamp. Eek. But these runners don't care about dark rooms, and they don't care about other things. Meanwhile, Etium is back into the dark maze after picking up the ice rod from the Palace of Darkness big chest. With this, Gem is now heading over to the Landmolus. Gem did leave the big chest behind, but being that he had the mirror, he decided to go for Landmo having the item first.
Yeah, solid strategy there. It's a 50-50.
And then Etium also being bitten to death in the dark maze. Three shots, 3 Landmo down. And that's the compass, so big chest is where that second item's hiding in Desert Palace. But with that, that's crystal number 5 for Gem.
ATM is on his way to the Helmasaur King fight. So everything, I think, is done in pot already. I believe he did pick up the ice rod as well. It's not on the tracker yet, but it will be shortly, I'm sure.
And with this, Gem has to go back, and he's going to check the contents of the big chest. Alright, and what is in the Desert Palace Big Chest today? And it is... $1.
Nice.
And here we are, looking at just after that, so... Gem now has the decision on their hands. They're going to check out Checkerboard Cave, but what do they... Well, we just opened up a bunch of locations with the mirror, and imagine Death Mountain probably high up on their list of locations to check at this point. And what are we looking for right now? We need to find a Cane of Samaria, and the hookshot, and a second sword. As so far, the only sword we found was in Uncle's chest.
Yeah, pretty stingy with the swords, which is, you know, never fun to have to go through most of this game with just fighter swords.
I think they'd be thankful just to have one at all at this point. And there's Gem's fairy with a bottle. That'll be their ability to get the sick kid now. But that etium is going to go ahead and hammer out the differences with the Helmosaur King. And Gem is going to see the just mountain of items that is Death Mountain, now that we've finally been given access to it just over an hour in. Hold still, Helmosaur King, and accept your Argentum punishment. That's the end of the Helmosaur King on Etium's side. We'll get their crystal, and then they're left with a lot of decisions where to go, and one can hope that they're going to beeline for Mire. There's the piece of heart from the old man. And with that, Gem now deciding to go knock off, well, it went to 4.
Ooh, so are we seeing a swamp dip now, assuming that the hookshot is actually in Swamp Palace?
Well, it is a relatively quick check. There's only 2 locations open to Gem in Swamp Palace at this point.
Should be. Ooh, wow, where are we going?
They're gonna grab their book, I think, so they can check the ether tablet.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I mean, the tablets are in logic now with that mirror find. I actually agree with this play.
Yeah, it does make sense, because I think, you know, you don't want to keep going up and down the mountain. If you're going to go up at all, you better have all the pieces that you need to check everything possible. So, it does make sense.
I mean, if it doesn't pay off, oh well. But if the tablet was holding on to progression, that would be time that you lost. In the meantime, Gem is just going to go ahead and start clearing through this mountain. I'm going to get their hint tile here and their heart container. And they'll find out that their Bombos is in the basement of Hera. So if Bombos is the key for Turtlerock, we're looking at having a guarantee of required items in all 3 pendant dungeons.
Yuck. Alrighty. So, Gem, with that knowledge of Bombos being down here, is gonna at least grab that item, I think, out of Tower of Hera.
Alright, there's the big key. Looks like they will... Well, that's one less check. That's one less check in Swamp now. So Gem just picking up that first chest and the hint tile. Going to save that dip for the Bombos Medallion for a little bit when they actually know that they need it, while etium has done the overworld checks on this side of the Dark World. And the question lies, where are they heading next? And so far, they're heading to the Sanctuary. Likely going to knock off these boots lock locations right away.
I mean, these are the checks that make the most sense. You know, you've just picked up the boots. You now have access to both these locations. Nothing wrong with this routing. It made perfect sense to, you know, you'd have to really galaxy brain going for Misery Mire right away. So, yeah, this makes a lot.
With that, we have the Ether Medallion for Turtle Rock. Etium, or Gem deciding not to open the door quite yet. But that also tells us that there's no reason to grab that Bombos Medallion out of the bottom of Tower of Hera.
Now, there is still one item in the Tower of Hera, so that could be our missing piece of the puzzle. The hook shot.
That Bombos basement is not where we're looking for.
Yeah.
With that, having checked Superbody Cave, now Gem is going to head through the rest of these checks on Death Mountain. Going to start his going to grab the Spiral Cave, work his way down, check Paradox Cave. When he merges back up to the top, he'll be back in the Dark World and able to check Hookshot Cave. Really well routed.
Definitely.
Convenience and speed definitely on display on Gem's side. I mean, just a clinic is the best thing I could put up, is just execution and routing, and just pulling off some of the plays that just make you think. I'm really curious what I'm definitely gonna have to put in the interview where the decision to just dip Ice Palace with so much available came through, because my god, the seed has just been. Oh yeah, so you want to coop super kind start, that's fine. But now all the big progression is in pendant tensions. Enjoy!
Yeah.
Getting you warmed up to a kind seed just to take you for a fool. And there's the Cane of Samaria in Paradox Cave. So who wants to do Turtle Rock? That's Blue Mail, Heart Container, and our second shield. You know, etium's got the purple chest.
So it does seem like the pieces are kind of falling into place here for Gem. I would imagine that Hookshot then is going to be in Turtle Rock. Unfortunately, purple chest, just a couple of blueberries there for etium's time there, unfortunately. But now going to go for the Mire play, so this is good that he's staying on track.
It's staying on track for the just garbage logic that this seed is pushing. Meanwhile, Gem is going to grab the one accessible item in the Hookshot Cave here via bonking and just half magic, which, alright, is nice. And are we gonna... Hello, hovering! Or not. Just one try.
Maybe not.
You give it a shot. If he gets it, great. If not, I'm going to Turtle Rock. This is out of logic. And here we are in Turtle Rock, and you have to imagine that some progression's hiding in here, otherwise there's one item left in Hera.
Yeah. Unfortunately, those fire rod shots just not connecting for etium there. These Wizrobes a little bit of a challenge today.
Just non-cooperational. Alright, meanwhile, Gem is going to start gutting their way through Turtle Rock. We'll see if this is where our progression is. And there's the Cane of Burna, not what we're looking for. At this point, all we need now is a hook shot and a second sword.
Yeah, and generally, I think the rule of thumb is if you're just looking for a sword, you're gonna go mode most anything and just aim for GT as holding one of your remaining swords.
No, we've got to pick up a hook shot, so that leads us to doing this this torch puzzle in the intended way. And there's Etium's magic mirror. He's down to half a heart, though. There's the big key and a small key. Making good use of the half magic they picked up. Now we do know that the firelock side of firelock side of Myra is junk, and I do believe the second item's hanging out in there too, if I remember the hint tile correctly.
Ooh.
He was down to a half a heart coming into this room.
Yeah.
There's the small key we knew we had to find on Gem's side, and with that, etium is out.
Just a little bit of indecision. Decides to go for checkerboard first before diving into Desert Palace.
There's no real right or wrong way to route that. $300 though, just what they're looking for. Right now, it's the hook shot and swords that are eluding us at this point. Gem continuing on here through Turtle Rock. Another big key location gives us the compass. And we'll gun our way through this room a second time. Anti-fairies be darned. I was always befuddled by the inclusion of these these pipes in Turtle Rock.
Yeah, it's an odd design choice.
But then again, at least it's not mine carts in every dungeon.
Oh.
Capcom sure did love those.
Yeah.
Alright, and making our way over, we're gonna go ahead and likely check out the Mimic Cave. One Mimic, two Mimic, 3 and 4. And what item does it have in store? Just $20.
Alrighty, so ATM enters the back half of Desert Palace and is on their way to Landmo.
Hello, Riot Shield.
Riot Shield.
So we have all three things that could give us access to Laser Bridge and Logic. I wonder if there's something there.
Oh, Laser Bridge.
We have 2 invincibility items and the Riot Shield. Full access. Small key we knew we had to find. Meanwhile, etium is heading back to their date with Land Mollis. As Gem impatiently waits for the end of this red block ride. Alright, Laser Bridge, what do we got for us? $20. The map. The hook shot!
Yep, there it is.
And the small key we knew we had to find, so here we are in sword mode. Because now all we're looking for now is the sword that gets us through Ganon, that'll let us do damage to Ganon. A nice little, another alternative way to route through that room.
Yeah, putting the Samaria block right on the crystal switch there.
And using the block to ult the pot to also activate it. So now Gem heading in to their, I mean, they're not, they won't be able to do the behind the back strats. Is their main weapon to do damage to Trinex is the hammer. It manages to get rid of that switch just before the animation forces them to not have access to the menu. And with that, that's the end of Trinex. Or the end of the first phase of Trinex. Now to the final phase. Now we just have to hammer out our differences. Note, we're down to 4 hearts. Do have access to the blue mail now, but that's a quick and easy fight for Gem. And with that, that's 10 arrows, another crystal, and now we're just gonna head to Swamp Palace. And find ourselves a sword at some point, we would hope.
So ATM also picking up the book here. I'm wondering if he's thinking like maybe Gem skips the book location here, and by grabbing this, if something is on one of the tablets, then he's got a bit of an edge. So I can see why he'd do it. It makes sense to maybe take that little bit of time to grab the book before heading up the mountain.
And that's 3 more items out of Hookshot Cave being trash. Right now we're looking at Cave 45, Swamp Palace, Bombos Tablet, which I think Gem is now going to knock through right now.
Yeah.
We know the left side swamp is junk. So I'd imagine they'll probably clear the rest of it, minus the big chest, which we know is a heart container, via the hint. Though at this point, our progression is definitely not on the tablet, because we need the Master Sword to do that. Well, I mean, there could be a third sword there, I suppose.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, etium is into the Tower of Hera. We know that one of the items is the Bombos Medallion locked in the bottom, which is not useful for us to complete this seed. And there's the compass. And with that, etium is going to grab their mirror, but do they clear further? The answer is yes! There's one item left here in the Tower of Hera. It's not going to be the hookshot that they're looking for, unfortunately. Canis Samaria is in Paradox Caves, well, along with Blue Mail. So, I mean, even if this comes up being a second sword, Gem has to find one on the way.
Yeah. The only way that finding a sword for ATM here would be like a really good thing is if GT Big Key is super early and a sword is very late in GT. That might require Gem to full clear GT, whereas ATM could just kind of cruise on up once they find the Big Key. But at this point, lead is looking a little too big for Gem.
Unfortunately, taking the big fall there on etium's side, trying to bomb jump across. I think at this point they may change their mind about the play. That just ends up being a time loss, unfortunately. It looks like Gem is electing to kind of go mode swamp.
Yeah, just kind of
chest.
Yeah, going for the checks that make that aren't too much of a time sink at all. So probably the 2 flooded chests will be checked, and then the waterfall one, which is right on the way to Argus anyway.
Dashing their way through Spiral Cave, and Gem is abandoning the 2 flooded chests. is banking on swords being another sword being in Ganon's tower at this point. Oh, what's this? Chat giving us that there may have been a hint for a sword in GT.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
At this point, you're pretty much discerning that it is the case. But with that, we are into the fight with Argus now. The first Turtle Rock hint apparently was that there's a sword in GT, so that hookshot find way back when, that was go mode for Gem.
Right.
And Gem, interesting, choosing for fighter sword spins on these puffs instead of doing the slideshow fight we all know and love.
If you can grab the puffs two at a time, then then this strategy is pretty quick, and without that awful menuing, it does make for a quicker fight for sure.
And with that single silver arrow, that's the final crystal, and it's time we played a game. So, between 1 and 22 locations in Ganon's tower is where the big key is to be found. Get your guesses in chat. If you are a sub to any of the Speed Gaming channels or have show support through a tier of 250 bits or more, you can get access to a spot on the leaderboard. Tender, what you got?
Oh boy. I think I'm going to go with chest 11. That is usually my go-to number. So I'm going to stick with 11. Bungie, what you got?
17.
17. Nice. Okay.
Indeed. Or if you really wanted to guess, you should have guessed whatever Fear did and hope you got there first.
Yeah. Someone has got to knock him off the leaderboard. That's ridiculous.
All right, and get your guesses in, because we do have to climb the tower the long way, but with that, Etium now in the Super Buddy Cave. Unfortunately, not going to be what they need. They need to get into Turtle Rock, and their swords in GT at this point. It's going to be a monumentous mountain to overcome for Etium to have a chance in the seed, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And not to discount their execution through the seed, it's just the seed came out fairly linear, and
which is like kind of unusual, because like we got the pretty much easy Dark World access right away, including Titansmiths as well. So that usually opens up a seed, and it just didn't. It didn't materialize that you could like kind of make a really unusual dive and gain some time back. It was kind of point to point for the most.
But that's mostly because both runners made the same plays. Now, as the crystal spin and the stair descend, it's time to bring the seed to an end, as well as this guessing game.
Nice.
All right, and looks like we are going with a right side start. How far right will we go? Chest number 1, 5 rupees. Chest number 2, the Arrow of Destiny. And with that, no keys, we're going left.
Oh, there's that hint. Right. The first one in Turtle Rock there. Yes, got it. Fantastic.
All right, number 3, blueberries. Now, at some point here, we do need to find a sword.
Yeah, that hint, while very helpful, doesn't really narrow it down too much. So there are a lot of chests to check, and it could still be up at the top of GT, which would be, awful, because you have to go through all the basement first looking for the sword.
Number 4, small key. Number 5, small key. It could also be in the big chest.
Oh, yeah.
Number 6, 20 rupees. Stealthos are saying, no, don't touch me. Number 7. More trash. And that's something that you can. Something you don't bring into account so far. You're not used to being just on fighter sword hitting into GT. Chest number 8
not a whole lot of range.
Ganon's tower, big key, but we need to keep going. And I'd like to give congratulations to Korek, who got that guess correctly. We'll just get you saved up on the leaderboard. And that looks different. Huh. Anyway, small key there for Gem. Moving on up, we still need to find ourselves a sword. Into the randomizer room. Alright, and there's the shovel.
Oh boy. Nice little bonk there to save that warp transition.
And
So Gem's gonna check
to check the big
big
chest
chest. Yeah.
map.
Darn. Yikes.
That Helmasaur King, the Helmasaur gives them a little bit of a run for their money. Hey Bob, how you doing? Bob dishing out the punishment, and with that, okay, Bob. Here we have Armos on ice. And that's the end of Armos. Of that Armos on ice. Such a beautiful performance as always. All right, $20. Piece of heart. And there we have it, folks. The Master Sword for Gem. And with that, that's officially go mode at 132.13.
Alrighty, so starting the ascent here, pretty easy with the silver arrows in tow to take care of those mimics right.
Alright, making their way up the climb, some Igors. Taking a little bit of a hug, dashing through, getting hit by a spike trap, but they're moving on. Etium did pick up the item in Mimic Cave, and not what they're looking for. Of course, the laser bridge, which he just got a third item with access towards, is where his hookshot is. Alright, making the ascent further up the mountain here, or up the tower that Red Zazak's just not cooperating for Gem, but gets him down now. Etium gunning their way through Turtle Rock. If you haven't given these guys a follow already, please do so. They've earned your love and support. At least I believe so, so please do so. In the meantime, Gem is heading out to Land Mode 2, bonking over, 1 arrow, 2 arrow, 3 arrow, that's the end of Land Molus, and just gonna sit there and block a few fire shots before moving on to further into the climb. Now it's time for a little bit of Zelda satisfaction. Shaboom. And we're going to continue on up the climb. Fort Guard kind of stopping the progress a little bit. Satisfaction.
When that happens, that is so annoying. When that one guard kind of pokes you a little bit there. Just ruins your momentum. It's just the one.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, Etium just got sniped on Laser Bridge. I don't remember if they took the safety door or not. The answer to that is no. That's some time lost, unfortunately.
Opening up a few chests at the top here. Just hoping for one more sword, you know. Tempered versus Master. You definitely want to have Tempered if you can jump into the Ganon fight with that. It makes it a lot quicker. So, you know, just checking a couple little quick spots here on the...
No, absolutely. This is definitely a play you're going for here. Also, unfortunately, that spin, while it did hit Moldorm, also knocked Gem off the ledge. Right, and that's spin number 1. Spin number 2. And spin number 3. This time Moldorm gets cooperation, threatens the hover, but just waits for the chest to appear. Gonna check Moldorm's last location, just get a little bit of love for the trouble. So we are looking to have a Master Sword fight. Well, etium is going to go ahead and knock out their fight with Trinex. With their hook shot in hand, they're going to hope that they're going to head straight for Swamp, and perhaps they're going to just go mode it, because they had the hint that their second sword is in Ganon's tower, but being that it's so deeply hidden, I don't foresee this being a gap that can be made up.
Nope, afraid not.
Thus far, a decent Aga fight for Gem here, though. We'll be walking into Ganon fairly low on hearts. That's the end of the Sorcerer, and with that, the King of All Bacon is on the loose. It's time for a date with the Big Pig.
And etium takes down Trinex there. Nicely done.
And 10 arrows for the trouble. Meanwhile, we're taking stock here. We're on Blue Mail, 6 hearts, Master Sword. There is not a lot of wiggle room for failure here on Gem's side.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot of Master Sword spins to get through this fight, but as long as Gem just kind of stays cool and you know, picks his right time to make a play on Ganon here, should be okay. Ooh, one hit from the Trident.
And the Trident there is making good use to pull off the double spins when they can. It's definitely, you definitely have to play the balance of safety to speed here. Perhaps if you're in Gem's shoes, maybe you don't feel as confident, or I'd be curious to see how they felt time-wise in this race, considering just the Seed didn't have the best of locations, but making use of their magic cape while they can. Do they have? I believe they might have a green potion? I don't remember their inventory.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Gem's holding on.
I mean, it does have enough to land the torch glitch. At this point, they're kind of banked on... They'd be kind of banked on being able to land a double or a triple. Now with that, that's the final spin. Did we find the silver arrows in the light world? You bet, Ganon. Gets the torch glitch. Doesn't have that much magic to relight the torch, though. This will be just a single. And this setup is also a single here. But I think that's a potential double right there. And with that, that's the final shot into Ganon. Just a well-executed, low-resource Ganon fight by Gem. Get your GGs in chat, folks. Just a 1x3 bridge is all that separates Gem and the first victory for Team 4K 4th and Forehead in this Lake Hylia Division Final. And with that, I'm happy to announce that Gem has finished in first place with official SRL time of 1 hour, 39 minutes, and 29 seconds.
Yeah, GG's. Just pretty solid display from execution, just top notch. Whoa, hey, holding on to the team logo there, that's pretty stylish.
All right, and with that, I can also announce that etium has elected to forfeit from this race. I definitely cannot blame them for that call. Get your GGs for both of these runners here. Just a seed with a lot of unkind locations. hopefully we'll get these guys in for an interview in just a moment here. But Sabatender, what are your thoughts on that seed?
Well, I think, it was pretty linear, which played to Gem's favor. It was surprising that it came out that way. I think there was a lot of potential for it to be kind of a goofy seed. But when you're up against someone who can execute as well as Gem does, and you can't really make too many big plays, then you're going to be in tough. So ATM gave it a really good shot there, but just got a little unlucky with the way the seed worked out because he needed a couple of breaks to kind of go his way.
But that is not to discount their execution throughout this seed. It's just
Absolutely not.
But Gem's just actually putting on really a clinic of execution there. So if you really wanted to see Randomizer or just let Link to the Past, the way it could be played, I mean, this is a VOD I would definitely check out. I mean, despite the fact that we had 2 major progression items in pendant dungeons, we finished in under an hour 40.
Yeah, it was, there were a lot of dips that needed to be made, and the routing, kind of got a little bit goofy. So to pull it off in sub 140, it seems like a pretty solid time.
All right, we should be getting him into interviews in just a moment here once we get the bot to do it. But this is definitely a great start to this Lake Hylia Division Final. Still some great races to come up as we wait to get them in here. We'll look over the schedule of what is yet to come here in the Link to the Past Randomizer League. We have right now at 6 o'clock Eastern tonight on Speed Gaming 4, we will get another race between 4K 4th and 4 and Titans Benson. That's Korek versus SAGTG. That should be a lot of fun in Speed Gaming 4, but it looks like we finally got these guys in for an interview. GG's to the both of you.
Hey, GG Etium.
GG Gem.
All right, so the major question I had burning in my mind for quite a while of this seed, we'll start with you, Gem. The decision to dive Pendant Ice Palace when you did.
Yeah, well, the seed just kind of handed out all the items for Ice Palace and nothing else. And neither the Fire Rod nor the Flippers locked anything, so I don't know. To me, it was just screaming Ice Palace, and I didn't really have many other good options, so I just figured I'd go.
Yeah, I wanted to go to Ice Palace as well for a while. I was on a Green Mail Fighter Sword with like no safeties, not even a bottle. So I put it off for a little bit, but I probably should have just gambled it.
Yeah, it's a tough call to make to jump into Pendant Ice, especially with the kind of situation you guys were faced with the mail and sword situation. I mean, really, at that point, your only other play was to dip Eastern Palace or Pod without the bow, which never feels good anyways. So it did make sense that you would eventually go.
Yeah, I'm glad I avoided that.
Pod would have been kind of nice, though. It would have meant I got the boots earlier, but well, that's why I got to do it with bow, I guess.
At that point, though, would having an earlier boots have really saved you that much time? Because it would have forced you into a double dip.
Yeah, probably not enough, but it's more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you guys have any other thoughts on kind of how this seed played out for you?
It was definitely on the tougher end of seeds, like both in terms of item locations and also just like having low equipment for most of it.
I mean, and that is a point to bring up. That low percentage did kind of play a bit of unkindness to both of you. I mean, Gem falling to the cold stare fight, which was, fortunately for Gem, just 20 rupees. But just overall having, what we said on Fighter Sword until Ice Armos?
Yep.
And only
well, we saw one sword was on pedestal, but I don't know where the last one was.
Yeah, I still
have
only
much
have
left.
one sword.
and only one. We finally found what 2 bottles the whole seed.
2? I think I only got 1. I saw one on Lumberjacks, but I also
got
skipped the
one,
locations.
I got one from Agina, and I don't remember where the other one came from. Maybe Turtle Rock or somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't quite remember either, but yeah. ATM, you did have the second bottle there, but yeah, and even those kind of came late as well, which is like unfortunate. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as I got that bottle from Agina, that was when I just booked it right to ice, because I just went bought a blue potion straight away, and I needed it, and unfortunately there wasn't anything on Cold Stare, which apparently would have been huge for me.
Yeah, really would have swung things around for you, which would have been pretty nice.
Yeah, a bottle would have been nice for that.
But yeah, GG's to Gem, and we got I guess another match just in a few hours.
Yep, another race between these 2 teams. So your 2 teams will be coming up later on. That is 6 o'clock Eastern on Speed Gaming 4, and that is Korak versus SHETG. How do you guys feel for your team going into the second race?
I think it's going to be a pretty close race. They're both amazing players, so it's going to come down to luck, I think.
Yeah, it's gonna be a pretty good race, but I believe in my boy Korak. He carried us during the league.
GTG has some tricks up his sleeve.
Nice.
All right, but with that, we have to make way for some more action coming up on this channel. So I'd like to thank both of you guys, Etium and Gem, for putting on a great race, a tough one to be fought, and really a clinic on execution if you really wanted to learn more about this game. So give these guys a follow. Looking forward to our schedule for the rest of the day. Coming up right on this channel, stay locked in just a few minutes. Final Fantasy 1 Randomizer Spring continues. Also, if you're interested, we're partway through a couple matches on Speed Gaming 3 right now. There's some Overworld Glitches tournament between Galan and Obscure Lifeform. Also on Speed Gaming 4, there's also some that's Faraime versus Doomtap. Also right now on Speed Gaming 5 is Super Metroid Prodigy. Looking forward to the rest of the day. On the main channel right now is Super Pac-Man World 2 any percent tournament. There is a Super Metroid Interactive race on the main channel on that's Super Metroid Interactive. Super Metroid Prodigy tournament continuing on Speed Gaming 5 as well, starting at 4 p.m. After that being the Link to the Past Randomizer daily race, or weekly race, which is open mode. And also assigned, that is the big thing, if you're a big fan of the Link to the Past Randomizer League like I am, Speed Gaming 4 at 6 p.m. has your match between those 2 guys we've mentioned before, and more. We've got Glenn and Hacksaw in the Overworld Glitches tournament on Speed Gaming 3 starting at 4:30 p.m. And there's some more stuff still yet to be assigned channels. I also see main channel getting a Zelda 1 randomizer at 10 p.m. Eastern. Sabatender, thank you so much for joining us. Shout out to our tracker as well. Tony, Sabatender, any final comment before we send us off into the next mission?
No, man, Bungie, it's been a great race. I'm glad I got to call it with you here. And yeah, GG's to our runners, and thanks to everyone behind the scenes. Tony, our tracker, did an excellent job, and everyone at Speed Gaming. So yeah, man, send us.
All right, with that, thank you all so much for watching. Good night and good rando.